And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and I'm back with another video, man. This is the second video in our rate/squad tips series, which is a new series for the channel. So if you're new to the channel, man, subscribe. We do these every single week. Comment down below your squad, and maybe you'll be featured next week. So some parameters real quick, just to kind of show you exactly what I'm doing and how I'm rating your squad. So I'm not rating squads at all. I'm not going to tell you your team's like a 4 out of 10. I'm just here to provide some tips and stuff like that, and I'm not doing it based on my own playstyle, so I'm factoring all playstyles in. That's why I always ask for the playstyle. So with that being said, man, I try to be as unbiased as possible when it comes to this. So let's get underway. So first we got my man Fear Me Not God squad right here. He's got a really nice budget squad. Now his team could have changed a little bit because he did send me this a few days ago, so I'm guessing his squad is a little bit different. But right off the bat, he does have that dynamic duo with Rex Chapman and Gugliotta, but I'd probably change that out. So right off the bat, I would recommend, we'll move Sean Kemp down because you obviously shouldn't get rid of him, but putting in the locker code and getting the free moments Jeremy Grant will help a lot. He's a really, really good card as well. He's just going to be overall a good card for your team. Plays good defense, he moves well. Overall going to improve the squad. So next at small forward, I would recommend going for this man right here who just dropped. If you do have him already, my bad, but Michael Porter Jr. is incredible. He's probably the best amethyst in the game in my opinion. Best part is you can pick him up for like 1500 MT. He does a little bit of everything. He does lack clamps. Majority of the ones that are on the auction house are not going to have clamps, so you may have to apply it to him, though clamps is not as important as it is in previous years, especially if you're over on next gen. It's really not that big of a deal. But I will say he will get burned by a lot of small forwards if you don't put it on him, which sucks because I wish you didn't have to rely on one badge. Pretty much every card has gold quick first step. But Michael Porter Jr. pretty much does everything. A lot of squads you're going to see today, I'm going to recommend grabbing Michael Porter Jr. So next up, overall the squad's not bad at all. You're working with about 79,000, and I know you don't want to spend a lot. You just kind of want to hold your MT as much as possible, which is fine. You could always go with Sean Kemp over here and then take Dino out if you wanted to. It's going to be kind of a small ball, but you are running pretty tall guys. Like Jeremy Grant and Michael Porter Jr. are huge. You're lacking some defense over here. Michael Porter plays good defense, but you are going to need those clamps badge, obviously. Jeremy Grant's good defensively. So I'd probably switch it up and put Sean Kemp on the bench and Bol up there just for rebounding help. Now, other than that, y'all know I'm a big fan of Rex Chapman, but I gotta say, like I said, you need that defensive help. Aaron Afalo. Without a doubt. I never know how to spell this guy's name, I swear. There he is. Alright. Aaron Afalo, man. He's an absolutely lights-out defender. He has a great three-pointer. He's got gold range extender. He's a great 3-and-D guy. This starting lineup is a lot different than what you were operating with before, but this 3-man change to your starting lineup is going to run you. Jeremy Grant's free. He costs absolutely nothing. Aaron Afalo and Michael Porter Jr. cost 3,000 together at max. So definitely going to be a lot of help there, and you can always move Rex Chapman or Gugliotta down into the bench unit if you still wanted to use those guys. And for size purpose, you could always still use Dino Raja. There's not really that many great budget center options. So Trae Young, I'm not really a huge fan of Trae Young. I would get rid of him, and honestly, I would go and grab Jarrett Jack. Jarrett Jack is so good. He is really, really good. He's probably the best Ruby point guard in the game. I think he's actually better than Markelle Fultz, to be completely honest, especially when he gets evo'd. You can evo him. The evo's not that crazy. Now, another card I recommend picking up for this type of budget lineup, not necessarily use him. You can always switch Matisse Thybulle over to run the small forward because he does play good defense. But I'm guessing you use Gerald Green to attack the rim, which is kind of your playstyle. You're more of a rim runner. Another guy I'd probably recommend picking up is, honestly, sounds silly, but Ronnie Brewer is really, really good as well, especially when he gets evo'd up to an amethyst. He's an incredible card, legitimately. I don't recommend it. You're trying to hang on to your MT and stack it up. Ronnie Burrow will run you about 800 MT, and then you can do the first Evo really easily. You just have to score 20 points in a game with him. Once he gets up to Amethyst, he's actually an incredibly good card. He's got Rudy Gay base, which is really good. He plays lockdown defense. He has Hall of Fame clamps. He can be a nice defensive stopper. You can replace Thibault with him. He's actually significantly better than him, in my opinion. Thibault is going to steal the ball a lot better, but Ronnie Brewer is going to be a lot better overall. So now if you wanted to go with like more expensive guys to fill out your lineup, like, you know, there's obviously the standstill like Eddie Jones. Eddie Jones is really cheap right now. You could grab him for like 20K. You could also go more offensive. You can grab Rudy Fernandez for around 30K as well if you wanted to go that route. Jarrett Jack's good enough to hold down your point guard, so you don't really need to improve in that aspect. I mean, in some aspects, Jarrett Jack's even better than Ja Morant, to be completely honest with you. I don't think that's really too crazy to say. Now, you are going to need help in the big man department because, like, Sean Kemp's very good, but he is a little bit undersized. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of really good budget guys. But if you wanted a nice budget option, you could run with, like, a Brook Lopez. You can get him for, like, 25K. He's pretty solid. He can hold down the middle, be a force. He can also shoot from the outside. That's another really good option if you wanted to go. I mean, your power forward situation is pretty solid. Like, Michael Porter could slot over and play power forward, and so can Jeremy Grant. So either one. I mean, I think this really helps your squad a lot, and it's not going to break your MT bank, realistically. If you didn't want to go with Brook Lopez, you know, Eddie Jones or Rudy Fernandez, you can improve your squad exponentially for right around 4.5K. And you'll see a dramatic increase in the productivity of your squad. So hopefully that works out for you, man. I'm not really sure long term how well that's going to work, but at the same time, you're saving a lot of MT and you're getting incredibly usable pieces, and you don't have to sell any of your cards either, which is huge. Next up, we're going to do my man Big Jack's team. So he's got a pretty badged up Stockton, the Henny God himself, JR. Solid enough. Pretty much the exact same as the Pink Diamond. So then you got Cam Reddish. Okay. Yeah, so you got a pretty good squad, especially it's balanced. That's key. Bobby Jones, and then Bosch. Biosh. Yeah, not exactly what it's supposed to be. And then as far as the bench unit, you got Baron Davis. Jeez, man, I cannot spell when I do these, I swear. Markelle Fultz. Man, I'm having a tough time. Markelle Fultz at shooting guard's kind of an interesting one. And then you got Eddie Jones. Andre Karolinko, who's badged out. Okay. And then Brook Lopez. All right, so you got an interesting squad right here. Right off the bat, I think you got about 19,000 MT. I mean, one thing I'd probably recommend doing right off the rip is you could sell Stockton. Stockton's not going for a crazy amount, but you can get 40, 50K. But if you really like using Stockton, I'm not going to tell you to sell him because you could always move Baron Davis up to the starting lineup, Fultz over here, and then you could go with a shooting guard. That's something you can definitely do, or you can go for like a budget small forward. Eddie Jones is good, but he's not really great at the small forward. So switching him out in that regard would work pretty nicely. If you wanted to go with like a budget option, once again, like it's going to be a theme of this video, but like Michael Porter Jr. Is going to be a really great option for cheap. Same with Aaron Afalo. Like both of those guys are going to be incredible cheap options that are both big. They have high badge counts. Like Aaron Afalo has kind of a slower jumper, so that takes some time to get used to, but it is an easy to green jump shot as well. So it's one of those deals. Like as you can see, this squad on PlayStation runs about 112,000, which is not terrible, like at all. Yeah, I think that's probably your best bet, to be honest with you. You could go with like a Rudy Fernandez. Like if you wanted to sell John Stockton. So John Stockton goes for about 40, 50K. You could sell him, move Baron Davis up to the starting lineup. If you didn't want to run Markelle Fultz, you can go pick up Jarrett Jack, who's excellent defensively as well, for like 1,000. You could run that option. You could slide Eddie Jones over. You could go with like a Rudy Fernandez. If you didn't want to do that, I would bench Fultz move a follow over here, and then you could still keep a hold of John Stockton, though I would recommend selling John Stockton as soon as humanly possible, just because his value is going to tank any day now, just because he's an outdated card. I like John Stockton still, but I'm not going to front here. Like, he's going to be outdated like at some point pretty soon. Aaron Afalo is big enough that he could play small forward as well. And if you didn't want to go that route, you could always move MPJ over to play small forward and have a bigger lineup. Like I said, he doesn't have clamps, which is kind of an issue. Rudy Fernandez is really good as well, but I don't know if he's worth 35K. Now, obviously, as with the other lineup, I didn't mention this, but if possible, like, try to get Terry Dishinger. I know it's like damn near impossible. I had to play 300 games to get this dude, but I know people who have got him in like 9. He's definitely something to strive for, especially if you have like a budget team like this. Just because you could always throw him at the small forward, move Cam Reddish to the bench, and your lineup's secure at that point. Then you have a very potent lineup just with that one addition. So, something to think about, though. Necessarily, I wouldn't spend any of your MT unless you're selling Stockton. But I would recommend lining up a secondary point guard pretty soon and selling Stockton before his, price goes all the way down. That's just me, though. All right, so we're going to move on to team number 2. But shout out to Big Jack for submitting his team. I told him I'd put him in the video. I got you. Let's see, what do we got next? Next up, we got 5-man. So we got Oscar Robertson. Solid. Right off the bat. Aaron Afalo. Yeah, so you know what's up. Aaron Afalo right off... No, not Jason Richardson. What are you doing? I always keep spelling Aaron Afalo wrong. Like, I spell it correctly, technically. But Rudy Fernandez at small forward. Solid. Really solid. And then you're running Wayne Embry. So... you're looking for a 5th person to throw into the squad. You have about 100K, but you want to save as much MT as humanly possible. You rim run 5 out and kind of try to hit open men as possible, or as many times as possible. And then you're a big fan of cards with badged out showtime. Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would slot Wayne Embry over to the center position and then probably just go Michael Porter Jr. He has gold showtime. He moves well, he rebounds well, he can shoot too, so he's going to help with that 5-man. That way you're not breaking your bank. You can get Michael Porter Jr. for 1,500. Look, I know I'm telling a lot of people to get Michael Porter Jr., but there's a reason for that. And if you're not a big fan of MPJ, like Jeremy Grant also is another really, really good option if you wanted to go that route with it. Now, if you wanted to go for more of a traditional center, you do have close to 100K. I don't think Sean Kemp is really going to be the best bet for you. I honestly think Michael Porter Jr. is the best bet for this team. He makes the most sense for this 5-man lineup. Like, he really does. Jeremy Grant is a free option, and he would actually work really well in this lineup too. You're going to be a little small in the front court, but at the same time, you're going to be fast, so you can kind of go around people. I mean, you could go, in theory, you could go DeAndre Ayton too. He's more of a defensive presence, which you are kind of lacking a little bit of defense outside of Aaron Afalo. Like, Wayne Embry plays good enough defense, but I really don't think that that's the way to go. I think the way to go in this scenario would be to use a free card Jeremy Grant or Michael Porter Jr., which would cost you like 1,500 MT, and then just wait for another small forward, power forward, or center to come out, because we are going to get some more big men in the near future for sure. And I think that's probably the best course of action, just because of the way the power scaling is with cards right now. Like, aside from the weekly cards that we're getting for the Season 4 sets, every time we get a promo pack, they're going to be significantly better than the cards that came out just a week before. 2K has completely blown power scaling in Season 4, so it's never safe to assume that the card you just got in a pack is going to be good for very long. At this stage in the game, this is probably the worst stage for that. It's probably not going to be until Season 5 where you can really be like, okay, this card's going to be good for a while. Just because all the opals that came out had 15 to 17 Hoff badges, and we thought that was crazy good, and then they just dropped 2 opals with more than 20 the next week, so it's tough to really say. But I think MPJ or Jeremy Grant probably makes the most sense for your team, like, realistically. All right, so we're running, and shout out to my man Aztec for that one. What's up, bro? You're always in my stuff. Next up, we got my man Liam. So he's using Jarrett Jack, Mike Miller, wrong Mike Miller, Aaron Afalo. Everyone should have Aaron Afalo and Michael Porter Jr., by the way. Those are cards that everyone should have at this point. They're just really that good. All right, Brandon Ingram. Okay, you know I like Brandon Ingram, so you know I'm down here. Ursan. Ugh. Not a fan of Ursan Ilyasova, but he does work for certain playstyles, so I'm not really going to hate too hard. Chris Paul. Not Chrissy Paul. So Amethyst Chris Paul, always solid from the retro set, which, by the way, don't be surprised if we get another retro set this Friday. I'm just kind of feeling it. I don't know why. Ronnie Brewer. Andrei Karolinko. Okay. AK-47. Jeremy Grant. And Thon. Okay. So, right off the bat, like, we're going to have to make some moves here. You have about 55k MT, you run 5 outsets, and do a lot of pick and pops. Okay, cool. Yeah, right off the bat, I mean, I know you probably like Brandon Ingram a lot, but I would do this, like, immediately. Right there. Like, that's going to be number one. I would do that. Yeah, I would move Brandon Ingram over, bring Andrei Karolinko up to the starting lineup, and then slide Aaron Afalo over to the shooting guard position. If you wanted to keep more offense, because you do have Andrei Karolinko and Jarrett Jack who play pretty solid defense, I mean, you could keep Mike Miller up there. But right off the bat, I would do that, because then you have a pretty decent bench lineup as well. As much as I like Mike Miller, for your team, I don't know if he makes a whole lot of sense for the squad, like, realistically. I just think there might be better options than him from, like, a realistic standpoint. Yeah, I don't know. It depends. He has a really nice jump shot, so I do kind of understand wanting to use him, and you do have 55k MT, so, like, I try to do these without killing your MT, because I could just be like, oh yeah, just go get Rudy Fernandez. I mean, obviously that's going to help. Like, grabbing someone like that, or, like, yeah, go grind for Terry Dissinger. Like, yes, those are definitely going to help, but at the same time, like, those are pretty difficult cards to get. Using 35k MT on Rudy Fernandez right now, I don't know how much that helps you in the long run, whereas just trying to make it work with these guys might help you a little bit more. If I'm being completely honest, like, I'm not entirely certain on that, but it could. Now, if you wanted to go use some MT and grab, like, a pretty good card that can hold down that spot aside from, like, Mike Miller, you could use 15 or so K and go grab Terrence Ross. Like, he's a pretty good option in the grand scheme of things. Like, he's a very good card. Eddie Jones is around the same price. Eddie Jones would be a perfect fit on your bench unit. So I don't think it's really a terrible idea to use 18 to 20K to go grab Eddie Jones. He fits both your play style and your MT budget. Like, if he's going for under 25K, I would say Eddie Jones is the way to go. If he's going for over, I would just not even go for Eddie Jones at that point. I mean, you're looking for a nice two guard. Like, Ronnie Brewer can do it too, so it's not just like, you don't have to go for a two guard necessarily, because, like, Evo'd up Ronnie Brewer can hold it down just all the same. Like, he really can. I'm not noticing Michael Porter Jr. So I know it's the 4th team in a row that I've said this for, but Michael Porter Jr. is also a really excellent player. If you wanted to go that route and wanted to save MT, like, it's hard not to recommend everybody have a guy who's 1500 MT and has 45 badges and he's 6'10 with a big wingspan. Like, it's really hard to not recommend that guy, especially when those badges include, like, gold quick first step, gold range, gold flexible. Hard to really root against that guy. Another good option would be Gerald Wallace off the bench. So, like, Gerald Wallace is a pretty solid option. You can get him for, like, 5K. He doesn't have range and stuff, which is kind of annoying, but it's not really the end of the world. Gerald Green also works. If you wanted to go more of a 3-and-D guy off the bench, Nick Anderson is always a really, really good option. He is a little bit outdated at this point in the game, but he still has good enough badges that it works. If you wanted to go with a little more offensive firepower off the bench, you could always slot Ronnie Brewer over and go with someone like a Hito Turkoglu. That's always like a good option. He's not running very much either, so he's not going to like hurt your bank account in that way. Yeah, I mean, the idea is to just try not to kill your bank account with whatever move you're going to make, you know? That's probably the biggest thing. If you wanted to go with another defensive guy like a Bingo Smith would be pretty solid as well. If you wanted to go really small ball and just go pure offense off the bench, you can slot Ronnie Brewer over and go with like a D'Angelo Russell from the Pantheon set. He's still pretty good. Yeah, I mean, realistically, that's a good option you could go with as well. I would probably go with that. If you wanted to go with someone who's purely a shooter too, you could go with like Del Curry at shooting guard. Like, there's a lot of good shooting guard options that I think would help your team a lot. That aren't going to break your bank, and that's kind of the big deal. Even Tyler Hero is a good option, though he's a little bit pricey. I think Eddie Jones makes the most sense, but at the same time, if he's going for too much MT, I don't think you should break your bank essentially going after him. But if you can get him right under 25k, that's a pretty good steal. It'll hurt your MT, but it will help you a little bit in the long run, just because you'll have somebody you can rely on off that bench to both steal the ball, play defense, and shoot open threes at an incredibly high clip. So maybe that's the way to go. If not, obviously always moving Ronnie Brewer over and going with a Michael Porter Jr. type player is going to be probably your cheapest and most effective option. I know, I'm just literally spending this video telling people to get Michael Porter Jr. It's just so fucking hard not to at this point. Like, he benefits everyone's team that I've done in this video, so it's tough. So, final team here. We're only going to do 5 today. Sorry, I've had a busy day. I might as well just keep Michael Porter Jr. because I'm probably just going to say do it again. So, this one's a little bit less of a budget team. We got Baron Davis. We got Stockton off the bench. Okay. We got... Alright, you got Terry Dissinger. You're set already. And then you got badged out Pippen. Alright. You got Cam Reddish. Always solid. Rudy. I don't know. Do you mean Rudy Fernandez? I'm just going to assume you mean Rudy Fernandez. If you mean Rudy Gay, I apologize, but I'm assuming you mean Rudy Fernandez. I'm not really sure, though. Antoine Jameson. Thurl Bailey. Oh, Thurl Bailey's off the bench. What am I doing? And then your centers are going to be... Oh my god, I didn't even see you have McHale. Alright, well, I will still help you anyway. Even though you went and got McHale, so I don't think you really need my help. And Kemp. Okay. Right off the bat, you're running Mike D'Antoni, you run Bucks playbook, and you 5 out a lot using both Hawks and Bucks playbook. Okay. Solid enough team. Props for getting McHale, because I don't even have McHale. I didn't even try. It's too much work. Right off the bat, your starting lineup's fire. There's nothing you can really do to really change that. Like, you could, in theory, if you needed more offense, swap Dissinger, Cam Reddish, throw Rudy Fernandez up there. But that doesn't really do much. I'm guessing if you're using Kemp at this stage in the game, like you just like Sean Kemp at center, I'm guessing you like the mobility and stuff like that. I don't think there's anything really wrong necessarily with doing that. It's kind of a personal preference thing. I think with the amount of MT that you have, because you have like quite a bit of MT, I think you could probably upgrade that if you wanted to, but I'm guessing there's a reason that you're not. I'm guessing he's badged up, or you just like the way he plays in general, which is totally cool. Trying to think of a real upgrade that doesn't break your MT bank, because I'm guessing you're saving up for Dark Matters, which is smart. I mean, Pippin's really good. I definitely would swap these two for sure. I mean, maybe you like that mismatch. I'm not entirely sure. You do have gold range on Pippin. Maybe you like that mismatch on shooting guards. Maybe that's kind of what your thinking is on that one. Maybe you're using Rudy. I don't know. You just said Rudy, so I'm not really sure. But based on how your team's... I'm guessing you're using Rudy Gay. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Let me know which one you're doing. Either way, I kind of see what you're going with. If it's Rudy Gay, this team makes a little bit more sense. I mean, right off the bat, you might like Rudy a lot, but I think it'll benefit your team a lot in the long run if you get rid of Rudy Gay, if this is who you have, and swap him out essentially for Rudy Fernandez. I think that makes your team way better offensively, and I think you'll find a lot of success with that. He plays pretty similar to like Terry Dissinger. Other than that, Thurl Bailey's really good. If you needed more shooting out of the power forward position, there's a couple different power forwards you could realistically go after, like an Andrei Karolinko. He's going for really, really cheap right now, and I think that makes a world of difference. I think you'll start to see that as well, going with AK-47 as opposed to Thurl Bailey. Defensively, they're damn near the exact same as far as how they play. Like, Andrei Karolinko plays defense just as good as Thurl Bailey, possibly slightly worse in some aspects, slightly better in others. But he's light years better offensively. So, and you can pick up badged up versions of him for like 50K right now with like range extender and stuff like that, which will definitely help out. As far as Shawn Kemp, like if you're good with Shawn Kemp and he's working for you right now, I mean, I totally understand not getting rid of him. And it looks like you kind of running more of a small ball, lightning fast type of offense. So that kind of works out in your favor with Shawn Kemp. He's able to outrun a lot of the centers. We are getting to the point where just having a fast center really isn't enough, because the elite centers that coming out, they have everything at this point in the game. So it just depends how you want to go about it. But as far as like lightning quick centers right now, if you don't shoot a lot with them, DeAndre Ayton works really well. He's a little bit expensive, but he plays absolute lockdown defense. Like, defensively, he's one of the best centers that we have under like the pink diamond tier. He's really good. He doesn't have the ball handling that Kemp does, so if that's like a big part of your, I don't know, game plan with your bench unit, then DeAndre Ayton's probably not going to be the best option for you. And obviously, you going and spending like 100K on some guy that's like not going to help you very much isn't really ideal. So, like, yeah, obviously you have enough MT where I could be like, go get Anthony Davis, but I don't think that benefits you in the long run. Like, you do have McHale, who will work really well in the starting lineup. But if you wanted to go with someone who can handle the ball and isn't going to, like, break your bank account, like Chris Bosh is a really good option if you wanted to go that route. But if you're good enough with Kemp, like I said, like, you can just run with Kemp. Just that Andrei Karolinko for Thurl Bailey swap, I promise, will benefit so much. The Pippen and Rudy thing, that's just a personal opinion. Like, if you're really good with Rudy Gay, I totally understand. Or if you even meant Rudy Fernandez in the first place, then either way. But I really think the Andrei Karolinko Thurl Bailey swap is going to be your biggest help. Unless, of course, Thurl Bailey is there to kind of help guard the interior because you have Kemp and you need someone who's a little bit taller, then maybe that's what's going on. Like I said, a little more context on that, I could help you with like a better explanation, but I still think that Andrei Karolinko, I don't really think there's any situations where Thurl Bailey is better than Andrei Karolinko overall. Like, I really don't. And obviously, like, Stockton is one thing where I'm iffy on. I'm guessing if you're still using Stockton at this point, you're really, really good with him, or you just really, really like him. But the thing is like, objectively, someone like a Derrick Rose is better, right? Like, objectively. Or like an Oscar Robertson. Like, those guys are definitely better, and you could realistically sell this John Stockton, which, by the way, I recommend selling him quickly, just because I think his price is going to plummet, because we're just getting closer and closer to Dark Matter cards, and diamonds are going to start being like 10K, 5, 6K pretty soon, like in the near future, probably around Season 5. So having a diamond that you can sell for 40 or 50K right now is probably the best time to get rid of it, is like now. But you could realistically sell John Stockton for that price, and then you could even, if you wanted to go like more of a budget option, you could run like a De'Aaron Fox or something, but you could pick up like a Darren Williams for relatively cheap. Or if you wanted to go with like a high tier guy that'll work really well, you could sell John Stockton and you could go pick up like a Derrick Rose or an Oscar Robertson for around 70 to 80K at this stage in the game. Now, granted, that might change by this week once the market recovers a little bit, but if you wanted to do something like that, now would be the time to pounce on that. But that's all subjective, like I said. Like, it all just kind of depends on your end. So anyways, guys, this has been the video. I appreciate everybody for submitting your squads. Like I said, I do take note of who I'm doing as far as like squads go. And so I try to mix it up every once in a while and give everyone a chance to get on the episode, so that's cool. I will say right off the bat that I've been petty this week, and anyone who submitted a squad with Tracy McGrady in it, I refuse to do. So if you're wondering why you're not on the video and you had Galaxy Opal Tracy McGrady, that is exactly why you're not in the video. You could be running all Emeralds and have Tracy McGrady, and I'm not doing your team. I'm sorry, I can't do it this week. I'm too hurt. But anyways, guys, check out my videos tomorrow. I'm guessing we're getting some sort of content from 2K tomorrow. I don't really know what's going on because they dropped the throwback packs a day early. So this week's going to be kind of interesting. I honestly think we're going to be getting either like a retro 2K or like some sort of other promo this week. So definitely want to check out that on Friday. I'm guessing we're getting some moments cards this week, possibly like a free event, or possibly getting some like Triple Threat online cards or like some unlimited stuff. Like definitely something in the agenda that's going to give us free cards this week. I can say that that's probably going to happen as well. They don't ever just move the content up for no reason. Like there's a reason they're doing that. That means there's probably another pack this week at some point. So definitely stay tuned for that. As always, it's been your boy Cheap Ludes. I appreciate all you guys who watch my channel. Check my description for my stuff. And yeah, I'll be back with more content tomorrow, guys. Later.